Amen to that. I'm trying to get this thing posted out. I've got all kinds of little IMs, guys. Mr. Chapman, there is a major contradiction about the recession and the depression, and oil prices may go up. But every time I turn around, prices fluctuate so much, I don't know what they're going to do. And we're being lied to with green energy automobiles. Do you see any of this contradiction and lies that's going on from the government to come to a fruition to where we can actually get some truth out in the mainstream media?
The only way that the mainstream will carry anything is if they're forced to. And we're fast approaching that because of programs like yours. Now, I was on a program yesterday, and it's not a major program, and they came in the middle of the program and said that their rating, they use some sort of service, and this service rates talk shows, and there's usually about 50 of them on every hour in all kinds of networks. And I'm sure if Alex Jones was on, he would be right up there at the top, and he probably is when he's on against the majors. But yesterday, when I was on this program, they had Rush Limbaugh on number one. Hannity was number 2. There was another well-known person as number 3. I forget his name. And number 4 was Dr. Laura. And I was number 5. And the reason I mention this is that they come back and said, "Who is this guy?" And so what we're doing is we're getting close. I mean, when I can come in 5th out of 50, they got a problem. And I don't have my own program. I'm a visitor on programs, usually about 30 of them a week. And so what's going to happen, I believe, eventually here over the next 2 to 3 years, is that we're going to end up being mainstream with the truth. It's going to happen. I had Navaska write me yesterday again, asking me to go on their Russian broadcast or whatever it is. And I told him, I said, I can't go on television because I live in the jungle. But if you want to do a radio interview, fine. I told him that before. And so now it depends upon how bad they want me. So I'm waiting to hear back from them. And I'm getting emails from stations all over the country that I've never been on before, which are ABC, NBC, CBS, and Fox. And, of course, when they have me on, they stand the chance of getting fired because there has been a couple over the last year who have been fired for having me on. There's a certain element of risk. And so, but I am getting more and more calls like that. And when I get on those stations, I just knock them dead. And I'll tell you something, I love it.
I heard that. Well, and I'm proud to know that you're doing that. I mean, I'm proud to have you on this show. We're going to take a break, Mr. Chapman. We'll be back, ladies and gentlemen, in about 4 minutes. This is Drew Rains and Bob Chapman. It's Thursday, the 19th day of November, 2009. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This is Thursday. On Thursdays, it is the financial day, and we have Mr. Bob Chapman, and he's out there letting you know that you need to be stocking up with gold and silver as well as projectiles and freeze-dried foods and storable beef like that at Doug's farm up there in Ohio, Longhorn beef. You need to know what you need to have, and if you have any problems locating a safe, give me a call because I found 7 for sale around the United States. But you need to do this on your own in your local community because these safes are heavy, and you can put your gold in it, but I guarantee you, the Goldfinger is going to come and take it away, and the Goldfinger is going to be the man in Washington, D.C. So you better be prepared to defend what you got. And you need to understand that this last week we had 5 more banks closed. We've got over 132 banks closed in the United States this year, Mr. Chapman, and it's not anywhere close. It looks like it's going to get a lot worse.
Well, we'll probably get it around 170 or 80 or 90, but next year it'll be over 1,000, and the following year over 2,000.
In California,
that means 3,200 to 4,200 banks will go under out of 8,400.
And that should literally just bring the government to a full standstill. With this passage of this possible passage of this health care and the tremendous debt that these liars in Washington, D.C. are doing, Mr. Chapman, do you really feel we're going to make it 2 years?
Yeah, I think we will. I do. I think one of the things that with this horrendous inflation that's coming, and then the devaluation of the dollar through deflation, which is probably a few years down the line, maybe 2. When that happens, I'm wondering how they're going to pay the military. You know, every time I think of the terrible deficit and the cost of maintaining a military today, I think of Caesar and how he came back in 49 B.C. and crossed the Rubicon, which was the river which the legions were not supposed to cross, going into Rome. And of course, they had a fight with the legions inside Rome, or the combatants inside Rome, and Caesar won. But America is kind of in the same spot that Caesar was, because all of the emperors and before the Roman Empire, what potentates used to do was to clip coins. They would pay them in silver. And so we're getting down to the same situation today. I don't see how they're going to be able to continue to maintain the tremendous cost of keeping a large military like they have, with a falling dollar, an economy that's on its back, inability to pay troops other than to printing money, and that's going to bring us not only printing money for troops, but for the military, but for other things as well, stimulus and keeping the big banks in business and that sort of thing. And I think there's going to be some changes down the line, 2 or 3 or 4 years from now. I don't see how they're going to be able to continue to maintain what they're doing throughout the world.
Betty's Brigade comes in with a question saying, Mr. Chapman, California is facing a $21 billion deficit with the current and the next quarterly fiscal years. According, and this is from the state's government budget watchdog agency, and it was reported in the San Diego and the LA Times today. This projection comes less than just 4 months after Arnold Schwarzenegger and lawmakers agreed to a budget plan that would basically close a deficit of more than $24 billion. Dropping $3 billion to me is not closing a deficit, and increasing the problem that we have, $5 billion to $7 billion over this, going from this last quarter to the next quarter, and basically putting this extra $7 billion debt in just to make the figures look. Mr. Chapman, my question here is, how long do you think, in your financial background, do you think it's going to be before California literally collapses? Because at one time we were the seventh nation in the world, if we were just a nation by ourselves, as a financial budget enterprise.
Well, it's hard to put a tag on that. I left California in, I think it was 1994, and I knew then that the taxes could not any longer support the state. There was too many people who were working off the books, millions of illegal aliens, They had destroyed the social system and the medical system, and it's getting worse and worse, of course. And so the only thing the state can do is lay off employees. And if they don't do that, they are going bankrupt. Now, whether they can lay off enough to make that up, I don't know. But the complexion of their legislature is such that they're going to drive the state right into the ground. And I think they're going to go bankrupt. And I predicted that when I left the state in 1994, and that's why I left. I mean, I was paying 15% state taxes. And then on top of that, 50% federal taxes. And if you push all the other stuff in there, I was in for 70%. I mean, give me a break. And I paid those kind of taxes for 36 years in that state. And so they're going down. They're going bankrupt.